Tucker is the same. Tucker. Yep. So they don't see where to go. Yeah, it's probably here. Yeah. Maybe. Yep. So where they go. We'll probably decide.
That's a big clock.
Go back to your collar.
Something I haven't seen before. Coming into Stuart, there's a guy, it's a tent right in front of the Stuart welcome sign, right in front of McDonald's.
Well, that's our new homeless
Yeah.
encampment.
The police were having a little chat with him when I went by.
Good.
Go Jarvis.
Do you know my wife, Karen?
Yeah.
Forrest, Forrest Aldrich.
Yep.
Forrest Aldrich.
Yep.
People are calling us B and K.
That's funny.
Could be a problem. So if you get any calls that should be for an attorney, it may be,
Okay, good to know.
somebody said, call B and K.
Flies in here. It's gonna bother everybody all night long, isn't it? Hi, Chubb.
Right on time.
Bring this meeting to order. Stuart City Council, tentative agenda, Monday, May 11, 2026, 6 p.m., council chambers. Call to order. Cobble.
Here.
Caps.
Here.
Ingers.
Here.
Nelson. Russell.
Here.
If you're able, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States Chambers?
Yes.
Nelson? Russell?
Yes.
All right, consent agenda, approval of minutes of 4/13/2026 and minutes of special meeting of 4/15/2026 and minutes of the rescheduled meeting of 4/15/2026. Approval of financial statement as of 4/30/2026. Approval of bills as presented. Approval of liquor license, Ruby's Unlimited, doing business as Ruby's Pub and Grill. Need a motion?
Make a motion?
Motion by Russell,
Second.
second by Ingers. How do you vote? Cobble?
Yes.
Caps?
Yes.
Ingers?
Yes.
And Russell.
Yes.
Okay. Public forum. Each speaker is limited to 3 minutes. Speakers shall provide their first and last name and town of residence. The council shall not take action during the public forum. Yes, sir. Go ahead, Warren.
Warren Barley, rural Stuart, Iowa. Just a couple of quick things. I'd encourage you to support the Hometown Pride proposal that Brenda Dudley has put together. I think it's a great opportunity for Stuart to collaborate and really promote some of the really great things we got going on, from the Saint Center to Doe Deer to our historic downtown. And we need to make the most of that, and I think this is a lot to infer about. And the second thing is, I don't know where you are on the Travel America. You've got some heavy decisions to make there, but I would encourage you to think of that as a negotiation. And think of it in terms of, TIF is tax increment financing, so I would view it in terms of financing. If you can get Travel America to pay for stuff now, and there's stuff that's gonna have to be paid for, I know. Traffic control among those things. And to the extent we can get them to pay for stuff now, then we don't have to borrow money to pay for it. We essentially get to use TIF instead of borrowing with a GO bond. And then on their site plan, I would encourage you not to waive the sidewalk requirement. As you know, I feel very strongly we need a pedestrian bike trail type bridge over the interstate. I think the most logical place for that is on the west side of the bridge. And I would encourage you to require them as part of their site plan to have some way that we've got a place to hook up on that side of the bridge. It's gonna benefit them in the long run. And likewise, when Adair County Hospital Health Systems comes to develop the old Burger King site, also, please plan for that. And I apologize for, this should have been brought to planning and zoning, but I've been under the gun. Thank you.
No problem. Thanks. Anybody else? Okay, go ahead and close the public forum. All right, old business. 7A, Hometown Pride Community Program Regional Application. It's ironic that Warren just brought this up. However, Brenda Dudley won't be making a presentation tonight. She has mentioned in an email that they just haven't had enough support with surrounding communities in the application, so she's not going to be submitting an application. So, just to give that out there, that's more information, I guess, that we just received, so. Okay, B, Travel America, approval of site plan. Anybody have any discussion or questions? I do see members of TA here. It looks like it went through P&Z, and Forrest is also here. Go ahead, if you need to interject.
Kick things off,
Go ahead.
if that's all right.
Yep.
For the site plan, they submitted a site plan and it was reviewed by myself and also utility staff and city staff. And we had a whole long list of comments and they addressed all those comments. And as far as the site plan itself goes, we would recommend approval of the site plan.
Okay.
And like you said, there are representatives here from Travel America, so if council has any questions, I'm sure they can come to the podium and answer those.
Anybody have any questions? You bet.
Maybe, were you at the planning and zoning when they discussed any of this?
Yes.
Okay, I just
And
saw,
representatives from Travel America were there too.
okay, I know they recommended the sidewalk requirement be waived. And it says, in the limited expectation, so planning and zoning and, I don't know, Travel America and you don't think that there's gonna be a lot of pedestrian traffic over there? Or how did they come that they don't expect that to?
I guess I would let Travel America answer, why they're requesting that waiver.
Well, I guess, how did they, who came up with they expect limited pedestrian traffic?
It was because a waiver was granted to Quickstar. And the waiver does not say that a sidewalk will never be put in. A waiver just says that whenever the city council decides a sidewalk needs to be put in at a future date, then they have X amount of days to put that sidewalk in at their expense. So a waiver is not saying never.
Never,
It's
okay.
just saying
Good.
we're delaying that until the city council determines that it's necessary.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else have any questions? If not, I need a motion to approve the site plan.
Make the motion to approve the site plan?
Motion by Russell,
I second that.
second by Caps. How do you vote? Cobal?
Yes?
Caps?
Yes.
Ingers?
Yes.
Russell?
Yes.
Okay. B2, request for sidewalk waiver. We kind of discussed that a little bit, so I need a motion for that as well, if you guys want to do anything with that.
I'll make the motion to approve the sidewalk waiver.
Okay. Motion by Russell,
I'll second it.
second by Cobal. How do you vote? Cobal?
Yes?
Caps?
Yes.
Ingers?
Yes.
Russell?
Yes.
Okay. 3, request for landscape waiver. Is there any questions or discussion you guys like to have on that? If not, I need a motion on that one as well.
Yeah, I'll make that motion for the landscape waiver.
Okay, motion by Ingers. I have a second.
I'll second that.
Second by Caps. How do you vote? Cobal?
Yes?
Caps?
Yes.
Ingers?
Yes.
Russell?
Yes.
Alright. Number 4, tip application, financial scenarios. I'll turn it over to Chip.
Okay. Good evening, folks. Chip Schultz with PFM Financial Advisors. This is equivalent to what was in your council packets. So you can either follow along with that, or you can, that's what I'd emailed. So it's just a matter of, you're at a point, of course, where this is a very open negotiation with the folks from Travel America. I've put together a number of tip rebate scenarios that are summarized on Exhibit 1, the second page in the bound handout. They all reflect the assumption of the valuation used in the tip application submitted by Travel America. It assumes a 1.5% valuation growth year over year. And the fundamental, I think, principle, this tip rebate is self-supporting with new valuation from Travel America. I factor in the existing valuation as of January 1, 2026, the newest available. Factor that in as base valuation and only include the tip rebate calculation on new valuation only. So I'll just go through the scenarios. I can go into more detail, and then you're in a negotiation, I think, with the Travel America folks. So scenario A reflects a 15% tip rebate of the new property taxes from the new valuation only. No existing Stuart tax base is used to pay the tip rebate. This is detailed on Exhibit 2. The economic value of that over time using the current FY 25-26 tip rebate, consolidated levies at $872,683 in column C on Exhibit 1. the value to the city, assuming that you capture the new valuation as TIF revenue, that's $4,945,000. And as we work through the scenarios, you'll see anything that goes up for the city, it goes down for the developer and vice versa. So scenario B assumes 25% TIF rebate of the new valuation. That's, the economic value is $1,454,000 over 20 years. New TIF revenue for the city over 20 years is $4.3 million. And the clean scenario to compare, the 50-50 scenario C reflects a 50% TIF rebate of the new valuation only. Has an economic value over time, not present value, of $2,908,943. That's detailed on Exhibit 4. 60% is $3,490,000 to the developer and $2,327,000 to the city, and 75%, which I think is targeted as the developer's request, has an economic value of $4,363,000 and $1,454,000 to the city. So I can go through these in more detail, or can just leave it at that and open the floor up for the discussion, or I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Anybody have any questions for Chip?
So Chip, the question I have is, how does the changes at the state level that they're passing affect all of this?
So if you, a week ago yesterday, the state legislature approved a new property tax reform bill. What that reflects, for any TIF ordinance adopted after January 1, 2027, there's a 540 school uniform levy that's the same statewide for all schools. After January 1 of 2027, that 540 levy is deducted from the TIF rebate, the net TIF levy calculation. So you want to get the ordinance in place sometime during calendar 2026 to maximize your TIF levy. And even if that, you're going to lose out on a year of TIF calculation, but you're going to fall much further ahead by maintaining that 540 uniform levy in the TIF rebate calculation. So if you wait till next year, all of these numbers will need to be redone. But I would encourage you to start this year to maximize the TIF levy, net consolidated levy.
Okay.
And if we did no rebate, the city would be able to capture the whole TIF, right? From the valuation?
That hypothetically, if you assume the developer still builds, and I'll leave that question to them, of course. So that would be the outcome of that hypothetical scenario, yes.
And when you figure these numbers, I might put you on the spot here. It was mainly figured to show that we can do something like this. It wasn't figured on, is it the best for the city? How does it benefit the city the best? Because you're just giving us scenarios to show that we can do this.
That's correct.
Yeah, right, and not how, because we got other things coming up that, would benefit the city. And when I say city, I'm not talking about the council sitting here or anything in these walls, but everybody that lives in the city is gonna benefit everybody as a whole more than maybe just giving money to one entity as a rebate.
The
Right, you didn't-
statewide, yes.
Yeah, you weren't asked to figure it on that basis.
No, it's really, what's the rebate need to be to incentivize the developer to build here and still have some tax dollars generated for the city's citizens, to generate dollars for your tax base. So that becomes a policy question and then a negotiation between you and the folks at Brew Oil, so.
Right, because I know we've had, ever since I've been on the council, I've always heard people, oh, what about our infrastructure, and, I can't say we all did. I know I got a email forwarded to me for us to really consider this. Do we want the money going out to an outside developer versus being able to use that money for the benefit of the city, you know. So I hope that we are conscious, but I appreciate you putting the numbers together.
Anybody else have any questions for Chip? Thanks for the information, Chip.
But, thank you.
Appreciate you. All right, 5, traffic study results. Sarah wasn't gonna print out and stick in our packets, 500 pages of whatever it was. I might be dramatic on that, but there's a lot of pages on that, on the study, so you guys did kind of get a rundown of what Forrest sent out. So is there any questions on that? It was just pretty much information for you guys. Okay. All right, we'll move on to 7B6, tip application. All right. You guys all received the application from the TA. Is there any other discussion that you'd like to have on this topic?
Mayor, if you don't mind, at the right time, we'd love to give a presentation if that would work.
Absolutely.
Does that work?
Yep, absolutely.
My name is Kurt Peterson. Nice to meet you, Councilman. Been working with Ender, I guess to be formal, Central Mart One, which is Ender Singh's entity that owns the property that we're gonna be talking about tonight. So I've been working with him for a number of months. That's kind of my specialty, is trying to figure out when somebody wants to do something and there's a gap in their financing, it doesn't make financial feasibility, what tools can you find, and then go talk to cities or whatever it is, equity. So that's why I'm here tonight, to just give you a presentation so that as you all consider this application, you've at least heard firsthand, not just with words on a page, but also with a real person that can sit here and answer questions too, if that's okay. The first thing we always ask whenever we're in front of a city or a county, when we're talking about a public-private partnership, that's what a TIF is, right? It takes a partnership, takes a development agreement, and everybody be on the same page. Well, who are you getting into a partnership with? So we always start with a little bit of education on who the person is. So in this case, you have one guy, Ender Singh. So who is Ender in kind of a lightning round description? Ender is 20-plus year veteran in Iowa's fuel distribution and convenience store industry. His business that if you've heard of what he does, it goes under Brew, B-R-E-W. Brew has 36 locations across mostly Iowa and then some in Kansas. A lot of them are TAs, not all of them. He's a board member of Fuel Iowa, and that's the fuel industry here in the state. He's very active in giving back and has a reputation for that to his communities, financially and otherwise, particularly to schools, memberships in chambers, nonprofit boards, and especially with food banks and giving foods and non-perishable items. So in a sum, in a lightning round, who is Ender and his reputation? He's experienced, he's respected, he's a leader, he has high quality, not only projects he builds, but then as he operates them, and he invests in Iowa communities. So that is the person that I'm here with representing tonight. So baseline, before there's a proposal, what's the situation we have now? We have it's just under 21 acres, just down the way. That's obviously not looking great. It is vacant. There's nothing doing anything for anyone. There's no sales tax. There's property tax. The city's property tax would be about little over $24,000, but now with no improvements, in this state, it'll be even less in future years. So it has a downward trend. And in short, it's really, I think everybody'd agree, it's not doing anything for the people of Stuart right now. So that's kind of our baseline before we talk about the idea of what we could do with it. The proposal, as you just approved the site plan, you all have a sense for what Ender's proposing. He's proposing a 15,000 square foot TA to truly like rebirth the property, start over again. It'd be top of the line. It'd have 14 fueling pumps. It would have a convenience store. It'd have 4 restaurants. It would have a JJ's, Arby's, Dunkin' Donuts, and then his specific brand of chicken, which is Brew Fresh Chicken. So 4 separate restaurants inside. It'd have retail offerings for specifically focusing on truckers industry. It'd have showers, and then an 11,000 foot separate building back in the back for truck repair and maintenance. All in cost for all of that is actually over a $20 million investment that he'd have to make to pull that off. Private money, loan, equity, all that. Then we get to the proposed public-private partnership. For the amount of investment needed, which is, like I said, is over $20 million, that's the reason I get called. Well, I figure this out. How do I do this? And so the tool that we identified that actually could make this come to life would be tax increment financing. Well, that doesn't tell you enough. There's details about that. You have to have a proposal. So Ender wants to do this. I always try to be the guy that when there's pregnant questions, people are sitting there thinking, yeah, but you're not talking about this. So as I get through this and finish, I try to just ask and answer those right out of the gate. So one of them is, well, what if we don't do this, right? What I just described absolutely will not get built. Well, that doesn't mean you have to favor the TIF or any level of TIF, but it is a reality, like that's not gonna get built. Ender may be able to do something else, way scaled down, and that may be what you prefer. But I like to get that one out there. That will not happen, because again, that's why I got involved months ago, to try to make that happen. So fortunately, the state did give us this tool TIF that you guys have the discretion, but not the obligation to use on any given project. And the first thing to remember, it was a good kind of back question and answer with Chip there about, might you have a citizen might say, hey, I have another priority for that kind of money, which is totally fair to say that, right? So the first thing I wanted to point out, which I know Chip would agree, that money we're talking about, we call it incremental taxes or increment. That's the I in TIF, tax increment financing, because the money doesn't exist today, right? In fact, it'll be less, right, with no improvements there. But when that increment is generated, because we do TIF to make the project happen, how do we spend that money? And I'll talk about that a little bit as we go along. But I wanted to acknowledge I heard the question, because that's a totally valid policy question. But it's not that the money's there today when the constituent asks. It's if the project happens because TIF's approved, and then what do we do with the additional taxes that it generates? So Ender's specific request, as Chip rightly said, is for 75% of the incremental property taxes. So all the property taxes today would get frozen. So that, what did I say, about $26,000 plus or minus 25, 26 that goes to the city. That'd be frozen. That doesn't get touched. It's what he generates over that he would ask for 75% for 20 years. Now Chip projects that reimbursement amount over 20 years to be $4.3 million, round numbers. Just to when we get into question and answer, and if you see some of the application materials, you'll see that we said we're requesting up to $2.3 million plus interest. And not to get too in the weeds, but welcome to go deeper if anybody on council or mayor would like us to do this. That's how we think financially, because when we buy whatever, nails and lumber and masonry and all that, we buy it today, but we use equity and we take out a long-term loan, and that gets paid back over a long period of time, and there's interest. Well, we don't put the interest in our budget when you look at our construction budget, but it's just as much a real cost as anything else. So we try to take that, you heard Chip say net present value or present value, whichever phrase. So we take that 4.3 million over 20 years, what might the 75% of the TIF generate for the project, and we discount it back. So we talk about it, so we have 2.3 million, that would be for nails and masonry and lumber and all that, and then we have interest we gotta service for the next 20 years, and that's how you get up to 4.3. So a little bit in the weeds, but I just didn't want you to look at the applications, why are they asking for 2.3 plus interest, and Chip's talking about 4.3? That's the explanation. It's actually the same thing, just said a different way. So on the city side, under Chip's numbers, and we agree with them, over the 20-year period, the city would get an estimated 1.45 million incremental. Remember, that's all the existing taxes will continue, but another almost $1.5 million to the city. So Chip did a good job in his memo laying out the spectrum of 75% down to, I can't remember the bottom, maybe 15%, something like that, which is his job, and I'm glad he did it. While we originally set our financial pro forma, no kind of shame in this, just being real, and we just approached staff to start the dialogue before we even come to council. We said, we really could use 100%, and we showed financially why that would make sense, but staff Chip was great. He's like, Matt, I don't think that's gonna happen. Back to the drawing board. So I just wanted you to know that was earnest. We financially could show how that would make us the most comfortable. It's less risk for us, but we scaled it back in the official application to 75% because we felt like that's what really gets us there in the financial feasibility, even though it'd be comfortable to have some more padding. We're at 75%. So the big question for me, if I was sitting in your seat, and I'm not, you have the hard job, I don't, is I think boiled down to one question. We don't like what it looks like today. There's a proposal to make something big happen. You'll decide whether you like that big thing. Is the city better off? Can you look at taxpayers that email you or call you or see you on the street that if you, and we're not voting tonight, right? This is to give us a sense, should we proceed with the city's lawyers and Chip and everybody? Down the line, later in the summer, if this moved forward, and if this governing body supported it, you'd have to answer the question to yourself and the constituents, is the city better off for making this happen? So I wanted to end just sitting in that question. Every single one of these TIF requests that I get to do all over the place is case specific, right? I mean, some people could say philosophically I don't agree, but it has its facts and specific circumstances and financial advisors looking at the numbers and what do you get and do you want it? So at the end of the day, again, if you don't believe the city would be better off, I'm looking at that saying you should reject it. It's true. So that's our burden. That's what I want to end. Here's our opinion for you to consider and digest on why we believe the city would be better off embracing the 75% TIF request to make this rebirthing of the site happen per Ender's vision. First, the city is not out any money. And this gets a little bit to that reference to the back and forth with Chip that the councilman had about how are we going to spend this money? Well, until the project happens, we don't have all this additional tax money because there's not $20 million invested. So that question in short, is the city out any money? Technically speaking, the city's not out any money. There'll be a lot more money. Does the city then want to invest that additional money from the project into the project and then have some additional money on top of that, as we talked about? Second, the city will enjoy property tax revenues that are more than triple the size of today. And we cannot, some of these things you can stop me later and ask questions, we'll go deeper. But just thinking about that, by doing the project from day one, not waiting 20 years, we will approximately triple the size of the property taxes that are coming to the city, and that's just the property tax. 3, there'd be a significant increase in, and I won't pretend to understand the exact formula on how sales tax comes around to the city, but I know it's a good thing when there's more taxable sales in the city. There'd be a lot more. He's estimating conservatively another $6 million of sales that would happen at that facility, so that's 3. 4 would be, it'd be a major upgrade, just, I don't know, I think you'd probably agree, that's kind of a front door. I mean, there's obviously 4 quadrants, but it just would look better, right? So there's some value, I think, to having something big and beautiful there. 5, it will avoid something lesser from coming. And again, don't mishear me, you guys decide. But if this doesn't work and something lesser, less expensive goes there, it will not generate the same amount of property taxes or sales taxes or probably look as good. And that's okay, but that's a decision. We think kind of going big is better in all those ways. 6 is that the city takes no risk. And I know this is probably implicit, but just it's so important to say it out loud. There's no city guarantee of anything here. There's no city writing a check from the general fund. There's no giving money to Ender up front. He has to spend $20 million, and he has to wait 20 years, be a great operator, and do everything right to get paid back. He has to sign a personal guarantee for a construction loan. He has to put his money where his mouth is. So no city risk. The city's experience of, as I was just reading in the TIF application, it talks about, we really don't want to go above 25% incentives or TIF revenue to total cost, if you know what I mean. Like, hey, there's got to be a lot of private skin in it. The calculation on this, if we supported Ender's request, would be 12%. So it's half of even what the city contemplates might be possible. A lot of private skin in the game. And then lastly, 70 to 80 new jobs in Stuart. This is a major operation. $20 million generates a lot of jobs. And that's going to lead to more people coming down and spending money in the city. And so that was the last kind of in a list, just getting the juices flowing. And if you find that the city would be better off, these, I imagine, some or all of these would be the things you would point to. So with that, I close with this. Remember how I said I like to ask the questions and answer them that are the ones like, are you avoiding that? I thought of just a couple things to end that I thought of that were kind of like that. And talking to Matt, he said there was some concern, I don't know by whom, it doesn't matter, that when this would go here, there'd be additional strain or budgeting issues for EMS, fire, things like that, if people were called 911 to come over. So in Ender's experience, which is vast, as you heard across the state, that's for his facilities, there's very minimal 911 calls. It just doesn't come up, especially at these TAs very often. Also, if that's kind of getting into crime, he has 24-hour cameras, maybe you've been to some of his TAs. There's cameras everywhere, and there's just very few crime issues because you're on camera, and it doesn't happen. Also, just that additional $1.5 million that would come to the city, plus the base, plus what would continue coming, the $25,000 a year, there's gonna be money there too. It's not like this is a cost buster that takes away all revenue from the city. It generates more revenue for the city. The second question I thought of was when I read the traffic study, I saw that get myself straight, the westbound side, you can correct me if I'm wrong, right? The westbound already is at a place where it's probably gonna need some improvements eventually, and I think the traffic study suggested 2032. So forget Ender's project, it's just kind of where it is. But then the eastbound said this project really would contribute, kind of put it, warrants, put it over the line probably in 2036 is when that would be necessary. So my thinking is, and this is between you and your financial advisor, probably not in front of everybody, but is to really think through, well, all these base taxes that would still come and the approximately $1.5 million that would come from additional property tax because Ender makes this investment, and the additional sales tax revenue, whatever the financial advisor would advise would come, is there not enough there by 2036 to where he's kind of in a way contributed towards / paid for a signal at that intersection? Again, not for me to answer because that's for your internal team to speak with you about, but it seems like there'd be a lot of money he had generated for that. And the last was somebody could say, well, what about cannibalization? That whole idea, you do something really big there, does that hurt everybody else? Well, the answer is there's going to be some of that, no matter what you do when you have other businesses. So that's again, always being transparent and honest. But that's not the tail of the tape. That's not the real story. The real story is that TA, as we all know, because we all travel I-80 or wherever interstate you go on a lot, that's a massive brand, especially for truckers, and they will stop when they otherwise many of them may not be stopping here, because they don't do these, there's huge areas, right, where you only do so many. It's like a Chick-fil-A, right? You don't put one right down the street. So this becomes a destination. This exit may not be a destination for some, that will become a destination for many in the future. My phrase for always saying is, we will get more of the pie. That is a fact. No one can debate. We will get more of the pie by having a $20 million TA. So, in closing, thank you. I know we've been working on this a long time, so thanks for letting me try to go fast to say all this, but at least gets it all on the table from our perspective. We really want to rebirth this 20 acres. The 75% TIF request is what we know could get it done. We hope that you ultimately find this to be a win for your citizens. And if we get the general positive feedback, I know there's no votes tonight, then we will continue forward with your attorney and financial advisor and hopefully be back this summer. But with that, again, thank you, and I'm happy to answer questions now or later if anybody has them.
Anybody have any questions? Very good presentation.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Mayor.
you.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, we'll move on then. All right, 7C, possible joint financing for utility electric substation project. You guys had some information in your packets here. And Chip is here if we have any questions. If you guys have any questions for Chip.
I've got a little bit of a supplement to what was in your packets. I'm really just, this is, I think, very much introductory, and I've added a little bit to address the legislative questions that have come up. So that's there. So this expands on a presentation that I made to the utility board in late April. I'll just briefly go through the slides. So page 2 of 10, this was in your council packets. Essentially the question that some on the board are interested in. The city council as the governing body for tax increment financing, you have the purview to whether to issue general obligation debt for the proposed electric substation. So the utility board is presenting that request with the thought is it's a lower net debt service when you compare it to an electric revenue financing. Because frankly, you're capturing the TIF consolidated levies from other political subdivisions that are not the city, the school, the county, and the community college. If you were to go this route for the substation, it would be subject to reverse referendum. I want to be upfront about that. What does that mean? The question is subject to a reverse referendum where if 10% of the people that voted in the last citywide election sign a petition to take it to a public vote, then you have two options as a city. Has to go to a public vote, or the proposal would be abandoned. And then the utility board then would have to issue electric revenue debt. So that's the framework for the kind of the legal considerations. Page 3 of 10, this steps through some of the really detailed TIF considerations, factoring in the recent property tax legislation. As you know, the Senate and House passed that legislation a week ago, yesterday, May 3rd. And for TIF, as mentioned earlier, for TIF ordinances approved after January 1, 2027, you lose that 540 school uniform levy. So whether it's this or any TIF projects that you have planned, I'd propose to get the ordinance approved this year with help from Dorsey and Whitney to get that in place, so you get to maximize that TIF levy. I'll skip behind tab 1. So on page 4 of 10, the bottom center of the page behind tab 1, this reviews the change in the consolidated TIF levy, what happens before and after you lose that 540 school uniform levy. Levy goes from just over $30 to just over $25. What that means in dollar terms for various valuation levels are shown on page 5 of 10 in the bound document. So your TIF valuation is about $65 million for FY 26-27. That will change the city's TIF revenue. It's not effective for 20 years. So that's important to note. That's not effective until looking at like FY 48, roughly. So for the next 20 years, you have what's called a legacy TIF or a no sunset TIF, a pre-1995 TIF. You won't see this change for 20 years. So unless it's a new project in 2 to 4 to 6 years from now. So that's a change in revenue for new projects. It doesn't affect your valuation, your TIF levy for existing projects. For example, for Wamble 3rd edition, overall housing phase 4. So that's protected because it's a pre-January 197 TIF ordinance. But that's something to think about for the future. Page 6 of 10, this reviews the various funding scenarios that I had put together. If you look at scenario A, that reflects the breakout. The utility board has been awarded a 2%, 15-year, $2.5 million loan from the Iowa Energy Center. That's included for the funding in scenario A. The balance of funding for the overall project cost is roughly $3.1 million that's proposed or contemplated to be paid from a general obligation bond paid for with TIF. If that doesn't happen, the option under scenario B for the substation project would be to fund that with bond market electric revenue debt. And scenario C is provided just as a hypothetical. The time-sensitive consideration with the Iowa Energy Center loan, that has to close by December 1st of this year. That's on the utility board to take care of that. If they don't close on that financing, they lose that 2% money for $2.5 million. The debt service costs are broken out on page 7 of 10. The cost benefit is laid out in column H. So your overall net debt service cost for scenario A, this is where I think the cost benefit is that the folks in the utility board are looking at. It's $6.5 million in column H, the yellow shaded column for scenario A. Scenario B is roughly just over $8 million. So you've got $1.5 million difference in that scenario. So this is, I'm sure you're thinking, why as a city council would you ever entertain doing this? That is the reason to look at. If you don't think it's a good policy for the city to issue a general obligation debt for an electric substation, that's another, the utility board has another option. But the difference is the cost savings for the overall debt service. The other consideration is how will this impact utility rates? We're still working through that part, but you're looking at roughly a 6 to 12% difference in electric user rates if you do scenario B versus scenario A. So just candidly, that's roughly what you're looking at. What's the exchange, kind of the give and take between the city and the utility? The benefit to the city is in table 2 at the bottom of page 7. There's an impact on the city's general fund because it takes tax-based dollars away from your general fund. So there are 3 initial options outlined for what the utility would contribute to the city's general fund to help make you whole for the impact of TIF. So this is just some initial concepts. You'll note at the bottom of the page, the Energy Center loan has to close by December 1st of this year, or that's lost. And then some concluding steps are outlined on page 8 in terms of what your options might be moving forward, supporting or declining the request, or a potential middle ground approach is, and this kind of gets you in a position where you can evaluate the cost for Front Street as you work on that project and we'll discuss it with Guthrie County. The city could issue short-term general obligation project notes, similar to what you did for Wallenbold 3rd edition. If you get to a point where the cost for Front Street becomes too elevated in terms of what you are comfortable paying with TIF, then you could say you'd want to have this agreed up front, of course, with the utility board. Then you could say to the utility board, look, you're going to need to issue electric revenue debt because our Front Street project has become too high. So that project note could be paid off by 2 sources. 1, long-term city general obligation debt, or 2, utility board issued electric revenue debt. That gives you kind of a way to maneuver through this as you work forward on the Front Street project, considering both projects there as you go forward. And then the last page 9, just simply breaks out. If you look at, after factoring in the existing TIF paid debt, beginning with fiscal year 27-28, over the next 20 years, just isolating that period where we know we can capture the 540 school uniform levy on the TIF consolidated levy calculation. City has about 22.8 million in future TIF available over that period of time. I took it out through FY 4950. That's beyond the 20 years, but your TIF levy and your amount of TIF that can be captured still continues, but it's just at a reduced threshold. So I factored in that reduced threshold here. Just informational for your review, and I think we've got I believe, a joint meeting scheduled for Thursday. There's a lot to think about, and with that, I'm glad to answer your questions you might have.
So, going back to page 7 of 10.
Sure.
I'm not a numbers guy by no means, and I think everybody would agree with me on that. But, so that one scenario over in column H in the yellow, that 8 million.
Yep.
Then up above it, that's 6.5 million. So that's roughly what, 1.5
Right.
difference. So that would be what they would save in interest, correct? If they used the TIF, if the city did them.
If the council were willing to go that route,
Yeah.
yes, that is correct.
So that still impacts the general fund for the city though.
It absolutely does.
So the city, this doesn't, and I'm not trying to kick them in the shins by no means, because this, I mean, they're asking, but I don't know, and I'm speaking out loud, why would the city do something to hurt them in the long run to benefit somebody else?
That's the perfect question. You're right.
Can I?
It's the difference in debt service cost is essentially what it comes down to. The city doesn't have an easy TIF situation to navigate. It's complicated.
So even if,
So,
so option 2, down below where it's in gray, that 500,000,
yes.
You're saying that the utility would give that to the city to put in their general fund, but that would lower
Correct.
that 1.8 down to 1.3, and it would lower theirs down to what, 1 million? in
That's
interest,
correct.
so we're still
You're still short.
short.
The other moving part, that's part of the discussion, there's, Sarah, help me if I'm, so there's roughly the shared services agreement that you have with utilities that relates to this building, to some water, services on the housing phases. That rough and round numbers, I think, is about 400,000. So I think that's a number that comes into the mix here as well as part of this discussion.
Okay.
And if you say, maybe you say a compromise, we're willing to do some TIF, but not the 3.1 million.
Sure.
Maybe you'd propose back to say a lower amount. You know, you'd look for a lower amount of financing, but you perhaps would ask for that money perhaps upfront, potentially. That 400,000 plus the general fund impact that's listed here. Very, very fluid, and I'm just presenting it as
Sure.
these are options.
Sure.
And it's a negotiation really from here, similar to what you have in Trump.
Sure.
Okay, I have a question. So, and just help me clarify, because you said hurt them, what, to help somebody, what are you talking about? I didn't quite understand that comment.
What do you mean to hurt them?
You said something about hurting somebody to help.
No,
What?
if you guys decide not to go this route, is the utility
Oh.
board, are they, like, do they really need this, or is it gonna hurt them financially if we don't go this route? That's why I was
Okay.
meaning like
Okay,
hurting them,
that's what I did,
but,
okay.
um,
So,
yeah.
I guess the big thing here, you know, is the 1.5 million, if we did the full 3, is not saving the utility board interest. It's saving the citizens of Stuart that interest. I think we need to look beyond what we're doing. We're not trying to help the utility board, we're trying to make it feasible for the citizens and maybe mitigate some rate increases also. So if they gave us the 500,000, it's gonna cut into that savings. If they pay us back the 400, yes, it would cut into that savings. But we've squandered away almost $1 million of our reserves anyway. That gives us cash into our general fund instead of getting it back over 20 years. That 900,000, if we do it right, and we may speak to this and may bring this up, if we put it into a fund that is liquid and can generate some interest, we'll still get the other 900,000 back over 20 years, but we got money right now. Whereas if they don't give us anything back in the general fund, we have to wait 20 years. It's like what, how many thousands, hundreds of thousands over 20 years?
Sure.
So to get that back. So that tends to make us a little bit more whole on that, to get that, the
There's more
1/3 that
value
we're
because
missing.
You get the dollar now instead of over time.
It's that time value of money that,
Yep.
you know.
Which I get that, but as taxpayers and ratepayers, we're all gonna be hurting, depends what way we go. You know, we either kinda hurt the general fund and we have to raise the levy on the city side to recoup some of that, or the utilities raise their rates. Either way, as a taxpayer and a ratepayer, I'm gonna get it one way or another. Depends on which way people go here, so.
Yeah, I totally understand. And to be candid too, this takes away dollars that the city might be able to use to fund other street projects, for example. So whatever those might be, or other public infrastructure. So the TIF dollars are not infinite, there's a finite level to what those are. So what
I
we're trying to
guess
put
I
together is.
struggle with the fact that we just had a TIF proposal from an outside developer wanting, $4 million. And we're struggling to see if we can help another entity to try to help our citizens out here. And we're struggling between those two things. Are we gonna help one and not the other, or what are we doing? You know? I get it's not easy, but if I have a chance to work with another government entity in the Stuart to help the citizens, everything's going up, you know? Everything's going to cost, yes, it's going to cost, but where does a new substation put the city at? You know, we've heard them talk, we're almost at peak right now. You know, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do if Travel America comes in and they put in electric charging? Who knows? What are we gonna do?
You're at the 4 megawatt load for that substation.
So, you know, I just consider it, you know, that's what I'm saying, I
It's
mean,
not reliable.
you know.
Candidly.
But you're still gonna have to, if you give them TIF, they're still gonna have to raise their rates.
They will, they will, and that's, the electric rates haven't been increased since 2017. And the hard part is if you do a 2 to 3 to 4% adjustment each year, and even if you average it back over the past 9 years where there hasn't been a rate adjustment, it's still a reasonable amount. But when you implement those rate adjustments all at once, it's not received well. And so it's better for we've been sharing with the utility board, try to get the rate adjustments done sooner than later, so you can benefit from that revenue coming in sooner. And then there's the benefit of, if you do a modest adjustment each year, there's the benefit of compounding that you get over time. So,
Yeah, I'm stuck at, you give them TIF, they still gotta raise their rates, you give them TIF, we become in a situation where we could've used that TIF, and then we have to raise our rates.
So even if they put something a little bit less out there, we're still gonna get the increment, we could get the increment financing from what the base is now to what it comes in, okay? Say their project comes in and it's valued at $8 million, okay? We can still capture whatever over that base amount is right now. That's TIF, that's the increment, right? We know that, right? We know it's not going to eliminate a rate increase. Might help mitigate that,
that's correct.
you know? But if we give 75% back and we get, you know, let's say we did the 75 and we get 1.5 million, that's $75,000 a year for 20 years. You know, that barely pays for one of our police officers. That barely pays for EMS, you know? Where's the value in that? I mean, it's good to have them come, I'm not knocking that, I'm not saying that we don't want them, but where's the benefit to the citizens out there, you know? Having a new substation where maybe more businesses can come in, you know, they see that we're up to date, or having an old, possibly failing substation, and then higher rates and higher interest. Because those other ones are not the same amount of interest, are they? As doing the TIF, they're higher interest, so.
And at least focusing on a good thing that we know that the utility board has, the utility board has a 2% loan for $2.5 million, about $5.6, $5.7 million project cost. That compared to all the electric revenue debt in the bond market, that saves $800,000. So focusing on some good things, that's a great thing to have on our side. So. All right.
But we're just discussing it tonight.
Yes,
We're
I'm
gonna
certainly
discuss
not
it
looking for any
next, okay.
just informational at this point.
So you guys are more than welcome to vote on it tonight. That's totally up to you.
Well, it's part of our joint discussion on Thursday though, too, correct?
It doesn't need to be, it depends if you guys wanna discuss it and make a motion tonight, that's totally up to you guys.
Yeah.
Or we can just do information, and if you guys wanna talk about it Thursday night, I'm totally fine with that too. It's totally up to you guys. Tell me how you
I'd like
like to
to
proceed.
table it until Thursday, if you guys, I mean,
I'm good with that.
okay.
And I think it's a good discussion to have with both entities.
And hopefully by Thursday, maybe they can submit a TIF application, cause if anybody who wants TIF puts in an application, I have not seen an application at all from the utilities. And that's the process. And there's nobody here from the utility board that wants to talk. I shouldn't say they, but Chip is here to talk about it. Like, where's the process at?
I didn't.
Go ahead, Kim.
think that we had to put one in. Were you aware of it? You got two utility members here, and neither one of us was aware that we had to put one in.
Well, that's the process for TIF in the city of Stuart, is there's an application process.
So 2.5 months ago, when we talked with you guys, had a joint meeting, why?
Come up here, Kim.
Did
if
you
you-
not- 2.5 years ago, or 2.5 months ago, when we had a joint meeting, why did you not bring that up to us then? Because we could have filled one out.
You've gotta, utility trustee on there that was a council member for years that definitely knows a TIF application to be required.
Well, I don't know what to say because I had no clue. I'm the board chair. If I knew about it, I'd have jumped right on it.
And it's no big deal, Kim, and I'm not attacking you by no means, so, please don't feel like I'm attacking you. But no, that's just the process, we have time to review things. I know we've been talking about it, we've been having joint meetings, discussing it and everything else too, but, I need to keep it fair across the board. So if we're gonna be doing TIF, we need to have application process, and do it as fair as everybody else that's coming up here. Also, I will comment that, you know, anybody else who applies for TIF, they don't get a special joint meeting. And it only seems like we've been talking about this TIF thing at joint meetings with the utility board. Nobody else in the community gets a special meeting to talk about their TIF application. You bring it you fill out the application, you bring it to the council, you come up here, talk about it, then the council will decide on it. I'm just letting you know what the process usually is. And moving forward, that's what I'm gonna, that's the only thing that I'm gonna allow to be fair for everybody.
So then why are we bringing it up Thursday night? Because you won't have a chance to look at the TIF application, right? I'll come in tomorrow and do it. So if I get it done tomorrow, it's too late to put it, is it too late to put it in the packet? Cause the packet's already went out.
It is, I'm just, this is probably for more information, and I know you feel like you're being attacked, I'm not attacking.
Yeah, I do.
Well, I'm sorry, Kim, I'm not trying to attack you by no means, is that what my intentions are. I'm just explaining the process.
Okay, but this is just starting now,
No,
this process. Never happened 20, 30 years ago.
I don't know when TIF has surfaced and when the process has started, but ever since I've been on the council and as mayor, this is the process of the TIF application and the process, so.
Okay, Mike, you've been on the longest. Have you ever had this problem before?
As far as working with another city entity or having a TIF application, just.
Working with another city entity with TIF.
We tried to work with the utility board when it was under the direction of another president, and we wanted to work with TIF, and we never required an application at that point. And I would think that two government entities should be able to work that way a little bit better. I understand what you're saying. But I'll leave my personal comments to myself.
That's fine.
But we never
That's
did,
fine.
we weren't going to.
Know
we weren't
if it's
gonna
ever
require it.
happened before.
Okay, I'm gonna move on. I explained the process, what we need to do moving forward. We can talk about this Thursday night. Don't have a problem with that, since we already have it logged. We're ready to go for Thursday night. It's totally fine, but I'm just saying, in the future, this is gonna be the process that I'm gonna need for the city council.
Then you better let all the other entities know about it.
I'm
Instead of
pretty
the
sure that
last minute.
everybody knows about it.
Well, utilities didn't, so.
Okay, moving on. Do you guys wanna take any direction in on this, or do you just want to table until Thursday? This is totally up to you guys, if you wanna do anything with it right now.
Yeah, I think I'm fine tabling it until
Okay?
Table till Thursday.
All right, sounds good. All right, D, possible, let's see, I lost my place, sorry. Possible, memorandum on alcohol and tobacco sales. I'll turn this over to Cobble.
Thank you. So I know we had talked about a possible moratorium on alcohol tobacco sales. I did talk with our attorney, Steve Brick. First of all, I asked him, I said, where do we stand as a city compared to other cities our size? He says we're pretty much right in line with everybody. We have kind of a loose zoning requirements like most small towns have. I did reach out to the police, and I don't know, sir, I think maybe I didn't have clear enough information on what I wanted. I wanted to kind of see where we were. Has there been an uptick in underage alcohol, tobacco sales here in the city? The chief was good to go back through January 2023. There was 18 underage tobacco citations, 16 underage alcohol citations. Those are 18 to 20s. Anything under that's handled with juvenile court, so I didn't get that information. So I'm thinking maybe that's from 2023 to present, but I'm not sure. He did mention that they have put in vape detection sensors in the middle school restrooms as a test run. And I don't think anybody would argue that there is a problem with that. But what's the solution? Okay. We had a business owner come up looking to have a moratorium on these. And dispensaries, cannabis dispensaries. Now, forgive me, I don't know if cannabis dispensaries are legal in Iowa for medical. I don't know. Does anybody know?
Well, medical,
I think medical is, but
I think it's very limited.
yeah.
Is it limited? Okay,
Yeah.
okay. And valid concerns, right? You know, we want to address that. The big thing is we can't ban them. You cannot outright ban that stuff from coming in. If it's a legal business and we have zoning that allows it, it's got to come in. What you can do is you can go through and you can review your zoning and designate certain spots for them, okay? So maybe you don't want them out town, maybe you want them out in the business park or something, but it has to be zoned that in such a way for that to happen. I know we were asked to ban or to look at maybe banning alcohol and tobacco establishments within a certain distance of a school or
Educational parks.
educational or churches, you know, stuff like that. You know, and I don't know what the distance would be. If it's 500 feet, you know, we got the school up here, and that wipes out most of your downtown. You got the two churches, that wipes out most of your downtown.
Pretty much
it
pick
would-
what you want.
What's that?
You can pretty much pick what you want. Different cities
Right.
have done different distances.
Yeah, I mean, even if you did 100 feet, that's gonna put you down towards Dollar General, you know, from the church, you know, and such. So I'm not sure about that because, like I said, you know, the big thing he said is you gotta think about the impacts it's gonna cause on businesses coming into town. You know, what if one of the businesses moves out? You know, like what if Lincoln's Lounge becomes open again and you have a ban, no alcohol sales within however many feet of a church? A restaurant wants to serve alcohol, likes to have a drink with their dinner. You can't put it in there. You know, if Johnny's sells, they would be grandfathered in for a period of time, about 12 months, Steve said. So somebody had to go in there and open it again to keep it substantially the same. So what kind of restrictions are you looking at? You know, I personally am not in favor of the ban in the distance. I understand it. I don't know if I don't think we're that big of a footprint. I don't think we have enough space to start putting businesses elsewhere. I think we're kind of limited on where we could do this. I would be in favor of maybe having our zoning looked at. Steve said he'd be happy to go through stuff, see what we could do from a zoning perspective on where we could put those businesses if we wanted to, and visit with us on that. So, I don't know.
Is that
Mhm.
for us to really dig into, or is that more planning and zoning
Well,
should be
it,
digging into
it'd go
that?
through planning and zoning, but you know,
Well, should
that's
they be
just,
spearheaded is kind of where I'm thinking.
what's that?
Should they be spearheading that instead of the council?
Yeah, I mean, it'd have to go through planning and zoning for sure, you know. To get a recommendation, then of course we'd have to do an ordinance on it. Something like that, but I'm bringing back the information, you know. I think, you know, maybe we look at, you know, how do we keep, you know, traditionally like retail or business stuff, you know, do we want a church? We had a church on Main Street at one time, Maranatha Church on the corner where Dolly's are now. You know, they didn't pay taxes, you know. Do we want to have that zone too, to where those type of businesses where we can keep traditionally retail or you know, businesses down that are going to generate some sales tax and stuff in here too. We could have a look at that. But was asked to bring that back. I know Alicia's here tonight. Did you have any questions for me or anything, or did I kind of answer some of your questions on what we had talked about?
I think some of the things you were able to cover with that, you know, as far as timelines for being able to, I wasn't asking for like this overall ban. I'm looking at the way that the city of Stuart is zoned, and as we are rapidly growing, needing to start addressing those things, because there isn't anything within our planning and zoning that is, you know, safeguarding someone from, you know, setting up shop across from the high school, having their alcohol and vape sales. And there has been, obviously, I know you mentioned juvenile cases stay juvenile, and there have been several cases within the school district over the last year. Obviously, it's prompted our school district to put vape detectors in our middle schools. Those are kids, those are 11-year-olds to 13-year-olds that we're having to start looking at to protect them from that. But I'm not looking for a ban, and I'm not requesting a ban. I'm wanting consideration for zoning to be able to not have those types of businesses pop up next to educational institutions that we have, and just realistically safeguarding the youth in our community and having those things make sense. Now, when you talk about traditional businesses that get tax revenue and don't get tax revenue, I know at one point you've stated to me how I am you know, redlining a certain business that came in right next to me, which was never the intention. I'm looking at the whole educational institution, but I feel like those comments very much redline my business. But keep in mind, my business pulls in 50, 60, 70 families daily into our downtown district that hit the coffee shop daily, that visit Doe Deer and Lewis Place, that grab their dinner from Ruby's on their way out of town. So we're also pulling more families into the downtown district than would be pulled in at other times during the day. So, but yes, you did cover a lot of it. I would like to see more in regards to the cannabis situation, because we are looking that into our near future. It's being brought up by our new governor candidates about bringing cannabis into the state, which is going to be looking at in the next year. So I definitely think that planning and zoning should look at some zoning regulations in regards to that, because I know in front of the daycare center in particular, the amount of cigarette butts out front every day is excessive at this point, and I imagine people are putting them out before they walk into our neighboring business, which fine, I'd rather see them put it somewhere else, but the kiddos that are picking it up and the parent complaints that I'm receiving in regards to that have been quite a bit over the last couple months. So just something that I would like the Planning and Zoning Commission to consider.
And I think I was on planning and zoning when you came, and your presentation was wonderful. And I think just to clarify, you were actually drilled into the level of alcohol license. So it wasn't just an alcohol license. And I think that P&Z really appreciated that. Then we didn't have a quorum.
Yes.
So I think we didn't have a P&Z for a handful of months to kind of keep the conversation going. But I know that there was interest in, I think, Craig, you came to one of our P&Z meetings maybe, or you phoned in.
I was on the phone with
Yeah.
her.
So, I mean, I think I would like to see P&Z take it back up now that we have a full board and kind of go into it a little bit more. Because you're right, it's about futuristic, not about now. For sure.
Mr. Caldwell, is there any certain cities that you looked at with this moratorium? Is there something laid out where we can like look at it and see what they're doing? Or I don't know if you looked at other cities our size that have maybe the same issues or something.
I did not. I had talked with Alicia about maybe when we sat up at the library about, you know, what I was going to do, and I kind of asked for some additional information. I don't know of any other cities that have a moratorium. I know down in, and speaking, even if you had a moratorium, all that means is that you can only do it for the amount of time that you review your planning and zoning. It's not an indefinite amount of thing. You can't do it for like 2 years. You can't do it. It's just however long it takes you to review your zoning stuff and ordinances.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I know that, I can't remember if it's Windsor Heights. It's down in Des Moines. They have the ban within 500 feet of a church, stuff like that, you know, and I had also asked, or thought I'd asked him, I guess I didn't, but it's like, how many kids are, I get the cigarette thing, you know, picking up, you know, little kids picking at it, but how many kids, how many of these juvenile offenders walked into our businesses and actually bought alcohol here? You know, where is the level of responsibility? Yes, we have a responsibility to have places set out for that, but are they actually going in and buying it? I haven't had one of our police officers up there tell me, hey, these businesses, I haven't seen anything. I don't know if you guys have seen anything that said these have been cited. I know it's happened in the past. I know that. But are they going in and getting it? Are they getting it from friends and family? You know, big brother, big sister, and how, you know, what's our part in it? And I think our part is the zoning part, to see and not just lay out, you know, you can't have it within this distance, but to make common sense zoning ordinances and stuff to do that. So I think we, you know, could get in touch with somebody, P&Z, and say, hey, we'd like you to take this stuff, and you know, I can work with them too, you know, kind of back and forth, whatever, however it works, however you want it done. You know, let Steve know, because he'd said he'd be happy to write. Of course, he'd be happy to write an ordinance for us if we decided we needed one when that time comes. So, but,
And
that's
I know
all I have.
from previous discussions Alicia and I had, we've emailed back and forth some examples of cities in Iowa that have put forth, you know, restrictions, zoning restrictions, you know, with different distances from those type of facilities, educational, public libraries, stuff like that, so we can pass that on as informational, as examples.
Perfect. All right, well, thanks for looking into that, Mike, appreciate you. All right, so we're going to push this to P&Z, let P&Z know to have you check into this?
Yes.
Yep, you guys good with that? Okay. All right. 7E, ordinance number 26-01C, an ordinance amending the code of an ordinances of the city of Stuart, Iowa, 2016 by revoking the section 63.044B and revising section 63.032B regarding speed regulations. Second reading, just need council approval on that.
Can I ask a question? Do we have to have 3 readings, right?
Just wait.
Can I make a motion to do the second reading and waive the subsequent 3rd reading? Is that how it's done? I want to do it the right way, so we don't violate anything.
So, in a nutshell, only if you all vote yes. If one of you votes no, then you cannot dispense with it.
Okay, so I can make the motion, and if somebody votes, then we vote, and whatever. Okay, just so I understood that. So I'll make that motion that we do the second reading and waive the 3rd reading of this ordinance.
I
Yep.
second that.
Motion by Cobble, second by Capps. How do you vote? Cobble?
Yes.
Capps?
Yes.
Ingworth?
Yes.
Russell?
Yes.
All right. 8, new business. All right, sale of the fire truck, 1992 Ford F700 pumper. Mr. Fire Chief, I'll turn it over to you. Chief Martinson?
Alright, just real quick, so in the past, we've had 2 opportunities from the council, give us approval to sell this fire truck. Like Mayor said, it's a 1992 Ford pumper. Both times, I think it went to sealed bid. I think the last time we got offered $2,500 bucks. It's worth way more than that. We rejected that offer. Jim Henderson, our truck captain, reached out to a company called shopgarage.com. They specialize in the sale of fire apparatus. They basically take your truck and they blast it out nationwide for advertising it. They appraise it. They gave us an appraisal of $20,000 for that truck. In the event that this truck sells using them as a third party, they do require 10% of the final sale price. They want to list it right now for $20,000, the appraisal price, and then within 30 days, if we don't get anybody biting on it, they'll call us and we'll revisit the price and maybe come down some, until hopefully we reach a good sale price. Basically tonight, all we need is your approval to move forward with a third party, helping us sell it.
Okay. Any questions for Chief Martinson?
I make a motion to approve moving forward with the third party sale.
Second that.
Moved by Caps, second by Russell. How do you vote, Cobble?
Yes.
Caps?
Yes.
Ingworth?
Yes.
Russell?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. All right, B, hiring a full-time paramedic. I'll turn it over to Director Caps.
Good evening. So, our opening for full-time paramedic is closed, interviews are completed, and I would like the council's approval to make an offer to one of our candidates. Her name is Monica Massa. She's currently part-time paramedic with us, has been since October. I think she would be a great addition to the team, so.
Yes, I just want to, because it's been a few meetings ago, so I actually told you that we can hire another full-time with benefits, right, in the budget, that was in the budget?
So that conversation was around, the two additional after this one. This one was a position that was already open.
Oh, so does this have benefits then?
Yes.
Too? Okay. But that's all?
Yeah, it's all.
Okay, all right, I just,
Yep.
all right, good. Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Moved by Cobble,
I'll second.
second by Russell. How do you vote, Cobble?
Yes.
Caps?
Yes.
Ingworth?
Yes.
Russell?
Yes.
Thank you,
All
sir.
right, thank you.
All right, 8C, Public Works and Employment, Josh Renslow, wastewater operator certificate, grade 2. You know that Josh did get his grade 1, and then short time after that, he had enough time in. He went and took his grade 2 test and passed that. And you guys did see that in your packet. And he's just asking if you guys would entertain a conversation for more compensation for that. So I just kind of leave it up to you guys for discussion.
Aren't they supposed to get a bump when they get a new license?
I don't know if that's,
Is that written policy or is that?
you know, to be honest with Mr. Caldwell, I don't know if that's a written thing or not. I mean, he did go above and beyond. I don't know if that was asked of him to get his grade 2, but so this is kind of new waters.
Yeah, well, and here's the thing, you know, we it's not this council, it's been previous, that we approve something, we approve like a structure, like we did the police, you know, at one point, hey, they start here and then we bump them up kind of on a yearly thing, you know. And I'm trying to remember, and it's not gonna happen, that we did kind of the same thing where, you know, they had the grade 1, and then as they progressed, then they got extra. It's not in a policy, and, well, it's not in policy, because it's just, was never put into one, but I'm sure it's in meeting minutes somewhere. And I can't remember how far back it would be. It wouldn't be, I think it would probably be before you got on, Craig, and even Corey got on.
It's been several years ago.
Yeah.
And the whole department's wage level has increased significantly since then. So the bumps that it was set at back then,
They're not even.
relevant anymore.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember what the utilities did on their side. I mean, they have increments that they approved, you know, with water or electric, you know, you get this amount, or I don't remember how it was structured, but, you know, I would like to see us do something that kind of mirrors that. And also, I know, is it policy or not that you guys get your CDL or whatever? Does that give you a pay bump? Is that, again, kind of just something we do, or is that actually in policy? But to make sure that is also in there
Right.
as part of that,
Yeah, okay.
with their different certifications.
I agree. I also think we have to tie this to job descriptions, because obviously this
100%.
made a lot of sense for Josh. But what if he went and got like a different random certificate that he felt he needed, and we didn't have any, you know, guidance? So
Yeah.
I think for me, I'd like to table it until we can get a job description and some sort of policy, so that if this happens again, we're fair across just even his department. And maybe this is maybe the conversations with him is the blueprint kind of moving forward.
I agree with that. I mean, I think this whole organizational review and job descriptions and getting our handbooks up to date is gonna be needed to help put this into place.
In regardless what you guys all decide on, he has taken the grade 2. Bare minimum, I think it'd be fair to pay for his continuing ed.
Yes.
Certificates or whatever. Just, that might help in, for retention purposes or whatever, so I would like to at least see that. Depends on what you guys decide.
Are you doing anything else besides just getting certificates over there? Like, what else are you doing?
Me?
Yes, yeah, you, Josh.
For like daily activities or?
Yeah.
What do you mean, Mike?
Well, I know we had talked some, and you're doing some of the stuff that Jim used to do. Is that right?
Currently, right now, I'm doing all the bills and stuff like that, but,
Okay.
I mean, I'm not asking for compensation on any of that.
But it's still more than, so when you were hired, you're basically hired as a labor, right? And now you're doing more than what would have been in the job description if we had one at that time. You're expected to go out and work, you weren't
Yeah,
expected to
so
sit and handle bills.
The biggest reason that the grade 2 was obtained is the DNR really likes redundancy, and in the fact that something may happen to John or whatever, I'd be able to step into that role and carry the city over and help them.
Sure.
In the meantime.
Sure.
So that's why the grade 2 was obtained.
Sure.
And I know I've given a couple items to a few individuals, and the headhunter lady was one of them with job descriptions and stuff like that
Okay.
that have been put forth, so.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to add that in, so you know, there's also more than just getting the certificate, that he is, you know, stepping into that, and is taking that on for us. So it's getting done.
I mean, do we have knowledge of what that continuing ed costs were for reimbursement?
Good question. I would have to ask one of those guys.
So basically, really, there's no, there's some CEUs that you'd have to obtain, throughout the years, but you have multiple years to obtain those, and they're not right now deal. The only cost for me would be if I was to go and take my grade 3 test, there's 450 hours that I would have to go to school for before I could take that grade 3.
So. Okay. Any more discussion on that?
Okay.
So we'll table that then. Okay. All right. D, 2025-2026 City Proposed Budget Amendment. I'll open that up to public hearing. Don't see anything else. Oh, Lisa?
You know I'm coming. I have missed the date for adjusting my budget, amending my budget. Oh, we talked about it when we came over with Chrissy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we talked about the grant that you received. It was a gift from the Carnegie Corporation, but we've received quite a bit more revenue this year, so it was my intention for that to be also caught up. So it's probably too late for this year. We definitely will, I'll do better.
All right, anybody else? Okay, we'll close the public hearing. And Sarah, have you received any written notices
I
or
did
anything?
not.
No? Okay. All right. Number 2, resolution number 26-12C, adoption of 2025, 2026 city budget amendment. Need a motion for that?
Make the motion?
Motion by Russell,
Second.
second by Ingers. How do you vote? Cobal?
Yes.
Caps?
Yes.
Ingers?
Yes.
Russell?
Yes.
All right. Approval of agreement for maintenance and repair of primary roads in municipalities, Iowa Department of Transportation. Basically, what that is I'm gonna turn it over to Sarah, let her explain it. Do you know much about that? I don't know much about that. It was sent over, to us from one of my secretaries that I work close with. She's like, hurry up and sign this and send it back. I was like, no, that's not how it works. So.
Every 5 years, the DOT sends us this. It's just kind of standard, lays out who's responsible for taking care of what between the state and counties and the city as far as the roads go.
Nothing new.
Nothing new.
Nothing new, just needs a signature is all, so. But
I'll move that we renew this.
moved by Couple,
A second?
second by Caps. How do you vote? Couple?
Yes.
Caps?
Yes.
Ingers?
Yes.
Russell?
Yes.
All right, F, Marketing Main Street, proposal for renewal of marketing contract. I will turn this over to Mr. Westry.
I'm instructed to keep it short. I'm not asking for a pay bump, but I would like to renew our contract. You guys should have in the packets, stats, recaps, kind of just, I think everybody knows what we've done. Some of you have been in the videos. Pretty straightforward what I'm looking for and hoping to continue.
Perfect, you've been doing a great job, so appreciate it.
The current level is option A. Is that where we're at right now?
Yeah, the four videos are where we're at. I think, not to push, if you look at where all the spikes in traffic are when we post a video. Sure. We do lose some of that momentum as we get kind of into that second and third month. We're only posting every 3 months, so it would be great to kind of level out that a little bit, but also I realize that the budget is what the budget is, and I don't want to go less than what we're doing, but more would be great.
It's been long enough, I don't remember. Does the utilities usually participate in this? I don't believe.
I don't think so.
So, okay.
Any questions for Mr. Westry? Anything else? If not, I'll take a motion.
Yeah, I'd move to keep it at the level it is, option A, at this time going forward.
Moved by Cobble,
Second that.
second by Russell. How do you vote, Cobble?
Yes.
Caps?
Yes.
Ingers?
No.
Russell?
Yes.
All right, thank you. All right, G, appointment of cemetery committee members followed by approval. I have 3 people that has submitted applications to be on the cemetery committee, which would be Mary Pease, James Bush, and Crystal Kirkpatrick, all 3 residents of City of Stuart. Looking for approval on that. If you guys could, please.
I'll make that motion to approve the appointments.
Okay, moved by Ingers,
I'll second.
second by Russell. How do you vote, Couple?
Yes.
Caps?
Yes.
Ingers?
Yes.
Russell?
Yes.
Okay. And last, letter H, final acceptance of Mid-American Energy Sanitary Sewer Extension on Southwest 7th Street going west from Adair Street. So Forrest, he took off, so that was, they had to put in a sanitary sewer from their building down to Adair Street. There was not a stub up there from the city. They did that. Forrest did approve it. He put his seal, I don't want to talk for him, but he did put his seal of approval that there's no issues going forward. And I do believe Mr. Henderson was involved in that too. He said it was fine. You guys okay with that as well? You was
I've opened manholes and been emailing back and forth with Forrest, and we both decided it's pretty good.
that we're good, that we'll accept it, huh? Okay. So all we need is just a motion on that, just saying that we're gonna, just the final exception.
I'll move.
Just real quick, is that for that new building
Yeah.
operation they're putting in out there?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, moved by Cobble, sorry.
Second.
Second by Russell. How do you vote? Caldwell?
Yes.
Caps?
Yes.
Ingworst?
Yes.
Russell?
Yes.
All right, reports. Mayor's report. So in the past month, I attended a couple of leadership meetings at City Hall. They're going well, and it's expanding as well. So we're getting some more players at the table. It was very good. We had a very good meeting a couple weeks ago. Lisa joined us, and Pat Howie joined us from the utility side. So very good. The productivity on those meetings is just growing. It's very, very cool, and it kind of helps with the city. So, also received a letter from a citizen with concerns, and there's no name on this letter. If that citizen is watching or here, please reach out to me. I do take the concerns very serious. And I do want to speak to that person as well, because there's a lot of concerns that this individual had that I think we can just clean up just with a communication and just some information. So if that citizen is out there, please reach out to me. You can call City Hall. They have my cell phone number, email, whatever. They can get you in contact with me, so please do that. Did help the police department this morning. Sitting right here with an interview that they've had, so we just have one so far, so nothing to report on that. Did attend the Lions Club baked potato supper to support the emergency services, so that was a good evening as well. The June meeting, I'm gonna move that until it won't be like a regular meeting. It'll be Tuesday, June 9th. Same time, we're just gonna back it up. Push it one day. Community wins. So the things I had, huge congratulations to Chief Rehall. He was a co-author for a new child endangerment law that Governor Reynolds signed. That will take effect July 1st, 2026. If you guys do see Chief Rehall, congratulate him because he worked very hard on this. And he had he was a co-author, so he had a lot of other team players next to his side, but this is huge for the state to put it in law that came from small town Stuart, Iowa, is very huge. I'm very proud of him to do that. So congratulate Chief Rehall if you guys see him, please. Another shout out, community win, Officer Luis Priez. He graduated from the Law Enforcement Academy just a few weeks ago. And he was ranked pretty high in his class. He ran 1.5 miles in 8 minutes flat. Unbelievable. And he done very, very well, and he is back with the community, working full-time, so. And he's been busy. And unfortunately, me and him's probably gonna talk on a different way, you know, but. So yeah, that was a huge community wins this month. Other than that, I will turn it over. That's all I got. You guys did receive all the reports. I do want to give a shout out to all the department heads. They've been doing very, very well, updating the council on what's been going on. Keep me in the loop on everything. So I will turn that over to City Administrator. Clerk reports. You have anything, Sarah?
It's all in the packet.
It was all in the packet, okay. Nothing new then, okay. Let's see, let's just move down to Matt. You have anything that you would like to add? No? You good?
If you have any questions, let me know.
Okay. Oh, this is easy. All right, I'll turn it over to the council members. Do you guys have anything to report out?
It's in the packet.
It's in. Okay. All right.
Just
Perfect.
a reminder that we will have a joint meeting with the city council and the utility board this Thursday at 5:30 p.m.
All right. If that's all I got. All right, sounds good. Meeting adjourned. Good work, everybody. All right, let's do it.